What's up, people? My name is James Blissett, professional sports bettor and founder of Lucrative MMA, which is my handicapping service where I help people make money from betting on MMA. If you want to know more about that, the links are in the bio as always. But today we're going to be doing the 100-unit live stream. That's what I've labeled it. I'm basically going to be going over every event that we've had this year in 2021, every bet I've had in 2021, the good bets, the bad bets, the lucky bets, the unlucky bets. And I'm going to be detailing exactly how I've been able to make 100 units by September. At the moment, I'm actually sitting at 118 units of profit. And most of you who follow me, you know that I am third-party tracked on the independent third-party tracking website, betmma.tips, so I cannot fake my record. And I just wanted to come on here to recap the year. You know, obviously, a lot of people struggle to make money in sports betting in general, but even more people struggle to make money from betting on MMA because it's such a crazy sport. You know, crazy things happen all the time, but you can make money long-term from it. You can make a lot of money from it. Obviously, I am proof of that with my third-party track record. So I wanted to come on here and just detail basically how I've done it. And I'm going to be going through my philosophy, my betting process. I'm going to be dropping jewels throughout the whole live stream. And I'm sure there's going to be at least one or two things that you can take away that will help you make money from betting on this sport. So, you know, that's the goal of the video. And that's what I hope to do with the video. And we'll get into it. I'll just post up now on Twitter. So, you know, everybody knows that I'm live. I'm going to tell everybody that I'm live right now. Thank you for being here. And, you know, as always, if you've got any questions and stuff, just hit me up in the chat. I'll answer your questions. Any questions you have about sports betting in general, any questions about MMA betting, let me know. You know, I've been around the industry for a very long time, so I can probably help you if you have any questions. All right, so without further ado, we'll get into it. And shout out to everyone in the chat so far. Trey Lance, great video concept. Thank you. I hope it's going to be beneficial to a few. Ryan Anderson saying quarterback for the 49ers in the house. I'm assuming Ryan Anderson is a quarterback for the 49ers, but man, this is the only sport I know about. So if you're coming in here to talk about any other sports, I'm not your man. Martin Shepard, let's fucking go. Let's get it. All right. I'm going to bring my screen up here for you guys now so you can see exactly what I'm seeing. That's too small. All right. So this is obviously the third-party tracking website, which I am tracked on, called betmma.tips. They are the gold standard for tracking your bets, tracking your MMA bets. You know, it's specifically designed to keep a record of any MMA bets you have. And if you guys don't know this website, you cannot edit your bets on this website, right? So you can't edit your bets after the fact, which a lot of tracking websites you can do, which is absolutely pathetic, right? So if you ever want to join a handicapper and you see him or her using a spreadsheet to track their bets or something like that, you can almost guarantee that they're not serious because, you know, I can edit a spreadsheet whenever I want. I've got a spreadsheet for my own purposes, but I'm also third-party tracked on this website. So you cannot edit your bets. You know, once you input the bets on this website, you know, once the fights are over, that's it. They're going to be on here forever. You cannot delete them. You cannot edit them. So any bets I've ever had in my entire career since I've been tracking are on this website. Yeah, so let's just get straight into it. The first fight or the first card of the year was in 16th of January. Obviously, they have a couple of breaks. You know, the UFC usually have a few breaks through the first few weeks of the year. And we came back with a Fight Island event, right? Yaz Island, UFC Fight Night, 16th of January, 2021. And it was a break-even event. You know, it was a slight loss. I took a 0.5 unit loss here. As you can see, I hope you can see my cursor along the bottom here. So obviously, you know, at the top, it says units bet, how much we profited, how much cash profit that is, and then the ROI. Cash profit, that is not going to be the same for everyone, right? That is just what your unit size is. See someone in the chat asking how much how much of bankroll is. All right. So my unit size on betmma.tips is $200. But over the last few months, that's actually changed drastically. The way I bet is actually different now. just because I've been limited so many times now, I bet slightly differently. And I will get into that a bit later on. But at the beginning of the year, my unit size was $200. It's a lot larger now. But as I say, I have multiple bankrolls now. So I have a bankroll which I use for my massive bets, which are actually 28-0. I've never missed a bet over 5 units. So about 4 months ago, I decided to completely change the way I bet on them because I've proven to have such a high edge on those bets. I want to risk more on those bets. So I have a separate bankroll for that. I have a normal bankroll. Then I have a couple of other bankrolls where I do small parlays, small shots, long shot, stuff like that. So I actually bet quite differently these days. But the beginning of the year, I was on a $200 unit size. So obviously with this bet here, we had Jocelyn Edwards to beat Yanan Wu. That was a clear win. She was an underdog here, plus 150 underdog. So the first money line bet of the year was a plus 150 underdog. And it cashed for us. It's always good to cash underdogs. I say it's like funny because obviously underdogs hit less, right? That's why they're underdogs. But there is something special about cashing an underdog. I can't lie, And in the MMA community, it's quite funny because, if you bet on favorites, you get shit on. And if you bet on underdogs, but they lose, you're seen as like, someone who's good at MMA betting or something. I don't subscribe to that at all. I believe that you should be able to bet on every type of outcome. I believe you should be betting parlays. I believe you should be betting props. I believe you should be betting straights. I believe underdogs, favorites, big favorites, slight underdogs, long shots, all of that. I think that obviously, it's kind of the proof is in the pudding. It's common sense, right? The best way to make money on anything is being well-rounded. Just in general, right? You want to be well-rounded. And that's no difference in sports betting. You want to be well-rounded in sports betting, right? So I bet big favorites. I bet short favorites. I bet massive underdogs. I bet short underdogs, And then I also bet props, parlays, as you can see here. We had 1 parlay, 4 props, and 1 money line, which was an underdog, right? But let's just going over the bet. Jocelyn Edwards, plus 150 underdog. She cashed there. She beat Yanan Wu pretty convincingly. We had Ameev to win via decision. This was a tough fight. I remember it was kind of back and forth, David Zawada versus Ramazan Ameev. But obviously, Ameev does fight close, as we saw yesterday. Just coincidentally, he fought yesterday, and it was a very close fight, and he actually lost that fight. I didn't want to play Ameev's money line here. He was probably a big favorite, like he always is. But his decision line was plus 100, so we got plus money on that, which I thought was an inaccurate line because I think, he wins that fight by decision at least 60% of the time. And I still prescribe to that. It was a close fight, though. David Zawada did well, but just couldn't stop the takedowns. And I remember watching tape on David Zawada, and one of the things that stood out was that he could just be grinded out. He was taken down on a regional scene multiple times. And so it was an easy bet for me here. And it's actually our largest bet of the night. And, it wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to go. It was definitely a sweat because it was a back and forth fight, but we managed to cash that. I also hedged here, Zawada via submission. Now, I hardly ever do that, right? And what hedging means, for those of you who don't know about sports betting, hedging is basically when you bet on 2 outcomes or more than 1 outcome in the same game, the same match, so that if you lose your first outcome, your second outcome might win, or your third outcome might win. And so you can still salvage back some of the money that you lost on your first outcome, or you could even salvage more, right? So here we bet on David Zawada via submission at plus 700, right? So if that would have won, because we put half a unit shot on it, we would have won 3.5 units in profit. But we only laid out 3 on the Ameev line, 3 units, and we laid out half a unit on David Zawada via submission. So if David Zawada would have won via submission, we would have got all our money back. We would have took from 3.5 units, which is what we laid out on the match in general, right? So that was a hedge where even if Zawada did win, if it was by submission, we still wouldn't have lost on that bet. And that's just because I saw Ameev be put in a couple of submission attempts in his career, and also Zawada had a decent triangle game off his back. That's what I noticed. I don't know how I remember all of this because I got a bad memory, but this was way back in January. But I guess some things do stick, especially when I'm looking over it now, it sticks. And I won't go over every single bet because, it will literally take 5 hours for this live stream. And I only want to be on it for a couple of hours, but I'll just quickly go over them. Austin Lingo versus Jake and Kilburn under 2.5 rounds. Man, that was so close. We had Austin Lingo wins in round 1. he dropped him bad in round one, hurt him bad in round one. That was just, one of them fights that looked to go under most of the time. But I believe in that circumstance, we just didn't cash it. I still believe that's a decent bet, though. I mean, we got plus money on that under, I mean, I don't hate that bet at all. It almost cashed more than once. But Jacob Gilman is very tough, Then we had a parlay, and obviously this one ruined our night. We had the over 2.5 in the Calvin Kattar Max Holloway fight. That obviously cashed easily. That went 5 rounds, didn't it? Or 4 rounds, and then it got pulled. And then we also had the over 1.5 rounds in a Buckley and Chirico fight. Obviously, I thought Buckley would be the one knocking out Chirico if it was early, but it happened to be Chirico catching Buckley. And, looking back at it, not a great bet because I do think Buckley hasn't got a great chin. I didn't really know that back in January. I think I know a lot more about his chin now. But, yeah, not a great bet there for me, especially at that chalky price. So we took a slight loss on that one. So I want to go to the next card. Now, this was obviously a big card for us. And this card, it was the first max bet of the year. So I had Ricky Simón versus Gaetano Perello, 11-unit bet, massive bet. $1.31, that's about a minus 275, minus 300, around that. I think Ricky Simón ended up going off at like minus 500, minus 600 favorite. So completely smashed the line there. I mean, this was one of the easiest bets of the year, right? And I went heavy on this bet. There's a good reason for it. He got the second round stoppage, and Ricky Simón never gets stoppages. But, because of the skill difference, he was able to get a stoppage. So this was a start. This was a big start of one of my streaks where, obviously I already had lots of bets over 5 units before this bet. If we go back to last year, like all of these, I had bets that were over 5 units. But I've lost it now. Where are we? But 2021, this year, is when I actually started to play more bets over 5 units than I did last year. So I've had a lot more bets this year over 5 units than I did last year. I'm just seeing a lot more value these days. I'm seeing a lot more spots. I'm more comfortable laying heavy chalk. I'm more comfortable picking solid spots. I'm more comfortable in my accuracy of picking fights now, so it enables me to bet more on them fights. That's why I told you I split up my bankroll in the last 4 months to do the big bets separately, because I'm just more comfortable in my analysis on them bets after being tracked third party for a whole year. Tracking is a great tool because it not only keeps you accountable, right? And you can't lie about your record, but it also enables you to go back and see your mistakes in a different way than you would even if you was tracking yourself on your spreadsheet. So I think everybody should be tracking on betmma.tips, because the way it's laid out, the tools you have, especially if you pay for VIP, you can check pretty cool tools. It's just a lot better than you could ever do on your spreadsheet, unless you were some Excel master and you took a few hours to type in all of the equations and the formulas that you needed to do. betmma.tips does it all for you. It's amazing. It's allowed me to have a lot more conviction in my bets, and it's helped me from betting a lot, So, yeah. So Ricky Simón, easy bet there for us. We also have Manon Farrow, who also fought yesterday, which is a coincidence again. We got her at like minus 160, minus 170. And I mean, we all know her now. She's a massive hype train now. You know what I mean? She's like minus 300 in all her fights now, minus 250 against Bueno Silva, who's a decent fighter. This was, realistically, she should have been about minus 6, minus 800 there. She was at least 85%, in that spot against Victoria Leonardo. How was Victoria Leonardo going to beat her? Honestly, she's probably about 90% in that spot. She's probably minus 900. We got her at minus 170 because it was her debut. Nobody knew about her, but, that's why tape study is so important. You go back and you watch the tape, which I did, obviously, and I watched her on the regional scene in France. And you see that, this girl is a really good fighter. And then Victoria Leonardo is not that good, So it was a very easy bet for me here at minus 160. And we cashed a unit on that one. I also had a couple of shots. Breeze wins in round 3. Look, Amari gasses, so I've bet that there. Perillo wins in round 1. His only win condition, another hedge. Yeah. And then we had Sumudaji to win. against Zaruk Adeshev, and we had Simone to win in a parlay as well. So we had a lot on Simone. We had 13.5 units riding on Simone here. And then bets cashed with ease. So we lost a half a unit on the first event, and then we won over 5 units on the second event. So it was a good start to the year, or a good start to the two events. Just catch up with the chat quickly. Daz is saying, let's roll. Capping service, what percentage of your bankroll is 1 unit? Do you use a 1% system? So initially I used the 1.5% system. With the results I have, I think 1% it's not enough. You should be using more than 1%. If you just check my tracked record, you don't need to use a 1%. Like you're not using enough. You can even use 2% with the results I have, because I never go on such a big downswing that you're going to lose that much money. But 2%, it is getting a bit up there. So I suggest 1.5%. I used 1.5% when I was starting. But as I said, now my bankrolls are actually split. So it's actually different. Jay Boy, thanks for being here. Cabin service saying, does that mean your unit size is different based on the bet? I don't have a unit size for my big bets. It's not units, right? So I have a separate bankroll, and I will get into this in another video because I've changed recently, like over the last 4 or 5 months, just because of many reasons. And I will actually make a separate video on that. So I won't go too into depth. I want to keep this, talking about this year and this live stream. But with the big bets, I don't have a unit size, right? I just have a lot of money in certain accounts, and I put however much I see value on them specific bets. So I could go up to 30% in one bet, right? So I could put 30 units on one bet. Obviously, on my betmma.tips, it's 11 units. But that's only because I've been able to build a massive bankroll, and now I'm looking at things differently. I want to take advantage of them spots. So you could call it a unit, because at the end of the day, it's still going to be a certain percentage of the amount of money I have in my big bet bankroll, right? So it's still going to be a certain unit, but it's way more than it was. It's not 10 units is not a big bet for me anymore. It's like 35 units, right? And people will call me crazy for that. It's worked completely fine for me at the moment. And at the end of the day, I've won so much money doing that even if I do lose some now, I've still won so much in excess. So my big bet bankroll completely different than my regular bankroll. But I'll do another video on that at some point. Grace in the Shane, shout out Aziz MMA. If you're watching, you the man. Hang in there, bro. Why does he need to hang in there? Capping service is saying Z is the man. Yes, he is. He's the man. All right. UFC 257. This was the next bet, right? The first pay-per-view of the year. We had Evloev wins via decision. Great bet there. That was a split decision, which is so hilarious. Potentially one of the worst scorecards in MMA history. And seems like we say that every week, right? 30-27 Danny Roberts is probably one of the worst of all time, right? But, I mean, go back and watch that Evloev-Nick Lentz fight. Nick Lentz did not win a round in that fight. He did not win. There's no argument. There's an argument Danny Roberts won a couple of rounds. 100% there's an argument that he won at least one round, right? There's no argument Nick Lentz won. He got absolutely destroyed. But, yeah, that was crazy. A judge actually scored that for Nick Lentz, man. I just remembered that now. But, yeah, easy cash for us there. Movsar Evloev, one of the best fighters in MMA today. And you guys are going to see that. You guys are noticing it already. And I've made a lot of money off Movsar Evloev. But people are noticing Movsar Evloev is a different breed. He's championship material. He's one of the best fighters in MMA right now. And you guys will see. You guys will see. The guy's a fucking machine. The next bet, one of the worst bets I've had of the year. Quite embarrassing. McGregor to win. You know what? It's not the worst bet, but McGregor to win inside the distance. 2.5 units. Fuck, I went kind of heavy on that one. I thought he had, this is in the Dustin Poirier first fight. I thought he had Dustin's number. Obviously not. Dustin had his number. He did crack Dustin with a huge shot in that first round, but McGregor just doesn't have the power at 155. He's not the same fighter he was at 145. He's completely different. The game's moved on. The time's passed him by. He spent too much time out of the octagon, spent too much time not training, spent too much time boxing. You know what I mean? And we'll see. When they had the rematch, I corrected this drastically, right? And you'll see when we get to July or whenever they fought, one of the most important things in sports betting is being able to adjust, right, on the fly. Even if you have preconceived beliefs or notions that you usually stick by, it's important to be able to adjust, depending on what happened. Sean Orr on Twitter did a post earlier saying that, you don't learn a lot from wins, you learn from losses. And that is true. Obviously, you can learn from wins, especially wins that were lucky. You should always try and learn from everything, but it's much easier to learn from losses. And I learned a lot from this loss. And you'll see that because I actually bet another way. I bet on Dustin Poirier in the rematch, right? At underdog price, which is crazy, but we'll get onto that. So the next bet we had Evloev versus Evloev to win and Tavares to win. This is a very, very solid bet here for me. I think great parlay there. Evloev was, minus 900 in that fight easily. We got him at minus 400. Great bet there. Brad Tavares to win. Tavares easily beat ACJ here. ACJ couldn't get the takedowns, which I knew he couldn't do because if you go back and watch the tape, Brad Tavares has amazing takedown defense. And yeah, good bet there. Muradov versus Sanchez fight goes to decision. Very, very close. Obviously, it got to the third round and Sanchez, completely fell apart, which is very frustrating because, it was in the third round. And it happened yesterday. We bet on Andrew Sanchez. And again, in the third round, he fell apart. So I need to learn from that. Sanchez falls apart in the third round. I definitely need to learn from that. But I don't hate the bet. But obviously, knowing what we know about Sanchez now, it's probably not, probably wasn't a great bet. I'm just sending one message. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Just sending a quick text. Yeah. So, maybe I won't be betting Andrew Sanchez to win anymore. And if I am, I'll probably hedge with the round 3 on his other opponent. Because, it's he's been knocked out in round 3 like 4 times now in UFC alone. It's a bit crazy. The next fight card, we lost 3 units here, so not great. We won half a unit on that card, so decent. Again, our money line bet's doing really well. At this point, I hadn't lost a money line bet all year, so I don't think I lost a money line bet in January. We had plus 150 on Yanan Wu in that card. Then we had Fiero and Simone. And then this card, we had Pantoja and Beneil Dariush. We got Beneil Dariush as an underdog against Carlos Diego Ferreira. Very good bet there. Again, someone scored that fight for Diego Ferreira. It was a split decision. I don't fucking understand how it was a split decision. I'm extremely surprised at that. But yeah, he dominated the fight. He took him down at will, and a great bet. One of the best bets of the year for me. Beneil Dariush as an underdog against Carlos Diego Ferreira. It was a good fight, but Beneil was clearly a level above there. Beneil was minus 225 in that spot, so very happy with that bet there. And Pantoja versus Cape. Close fight. Not really. Pantoja clearly won the fight. It was a weird fight because Cape didn't really do much and Pantoja didn't really do much. And I thought Pantoja would wrestle him, to be honest, and he didn't. I think he got like 1 takedown. And I think Cape was the one actually wrestling. So it was a weird fight, but, it cashed. We also had the fight goes to decision in the Beneil Dariush and Ferreira fight. So, that was to cover ourselves not only to cover ourselves because we won both bets, but it was also to cover ourselves if Ferreira was able to squeak out the decision. I didn't think it'd be finishing Dariush. He's not really a finisher. And if he is a finisher, it's via submission. And Dariush, very good submission fighter. So, yeah, a couple of other bets here. I won't really go too in depth. Actually, I will talk about these two because these are really bad bets. Fight goes to decision. 5 units I put on the line. Corey Sandhagen versus Frankie Edgar. And I also put 5 units on the line. Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov. So, not good there. Bad bets. Not too much to say about that apart from they were just bad bets, man. Yeah. Obviously, Sandhagen flatlined him in the first round and Volkov, it was annoying the Volkov one because it came like 15 seconds before that 1.5 line. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Fight goes to decision. very good bet there, 4.25 units on it. So I bet that quite heavy there. And yeah, look, a couple other bets. I won't go into them really because I don't want to be here forever. And look, my money line bets just continue to smash it. Again, we went the whole of January without losing a money line bet. We started off February with 2 money line bets. And again, we started off middle of February now, 3 money line bets, all cashing, including 1 underdog. I'll just catch up with the chat quickly. Nuri is saying, he's been following me since April. Really recommend it for those who aren't. You make your money back for the sub within a month. Thank you, my man. I appreciate you've done that. Yeah, completely depends what your unit size is. I've had a lot of people that have made their sub back for the yearly package they've bought, and in one event they've made their sub back, right? So it really depends. But I appreciate that kind words, man. And happy to have you as a member of the team. Paul Link is saying, thanks for the great content. Always, Paul. Ryan Anderson, Lucrative, your props, the best in the world at MMA. Keep it up. Appreciate that, man. I really appreciate these kind messages. It definitely makes it a lot easier when I'm grinding out tape every day, when I get good messages like that. Alex Weber saying, what did you think of Ameev last night? Thought he was... I thought he was what he would be. I did think he'd get the decision win. That's why I didn't bet on Roberts, but that's also why I didn't bet on Ameev, because I thought it would be fairly close. Obviously, he didn't look like a minus 250 favorite, but I think he probably won the fight. I wasn't super watching, like really close. I don't know if Bellator was on at that point, but I just remember I wasn't super watching that close. But yeah. Lee Doses is saying, do you diversify your betting profits into other investments for diversification, James Mate? Would be interested to hear your thoughts. I do. Not heavily. I will do in the future. I'm making a lot of money on MMA betting right now, and I really want to focus that. There's a few people I listen to in terms of investors and stuff, and one of the things I've taken away from someone I really like, his name's Alex Hormozy. You guys, if you're interested to make money, entrepreneurship, all of that stuff, you should watch him. He talks about diversity is good, but you want to diversify your income in stuff that doesn't take a lot of brain power from you. If you're earning money in a single discipline and you're spending a lot of brain power on that, right? So for me, that is, I'm earning a lot of money with MMA betting, right? I'm 28-0 on my big bets. I've got multiple separate bankrolls now. I want to use most of my brain power on that, right? I want to use most of my brain power to watch tape. It takes a long time. It takes a lot out of you watching tape all these times. I feel like, over the last few weeks, we're in lockdown here in New Zealand as well. I feel like I've been suffering from burnout a little bit. I never like to play the victim and label myself with certain things, but I ain't been feeling motivated, but I've still been doing tape because I have to, right? I've got members that I fucking have to do tape for anyway. And obviously I make money myself, so, I need to do it. But I want to use most of my brain power to continue being at the top in MMA betting, right? So I don't want to diversify my income in things that I have to think about. But I do diversify my income in things that I don't have to think about, like crypto, for example. I don't really care if I lose all my money in crypto. Obviously, I will care, but I'm not, I put some money in crypto, right? But I'm not looking at it every day at all. I don't look at it. I just never look at it, right? I'm just going to look at it in 5 years and hopefully it will have grown a lot, right? I don't want to become one of them crypto traders, right? Because then I'm going to fucking constantly be on the crypto charts. I'm going to constantly be selling and buying, and it's going to take away from my MMA betting. Any investment I do now is going to take away from my MMA betting, unless I do something that I don't have to worry about, So, for example, if I put my money in stocks, dividends, something like that, where I don't have to think about it and I could just leave it, that's how I invest, because I'm already doing well in one discipline. So that's what I suggest people to do. If they're good at one discipline, go heavy in that discipline. Become the best in that discipline. Because there's money to be made in every industry. But if you go hard at one, you could potentially become the best at that one, right? And then if you're the best at something, you're going to get paid from it. So that's what I suggest. I don't suggest people, putting their 20% here, 10% there of their brain power, 5% there, 10% there, because it just gets overwhelming. You can never become the best at anything if you're all over the place. But I do suggest diversifying your income in things that you don't have to think about. That's what I think of in short. Alex Weber saying, are you recalling all of these fights played out, judge scoring rounds from memory? Yes, I am. This is my life, man. I got a bad memory, but it seems like I got a pretty good one when I'm looking at, this. I haven't rewatched these fights for this live stream. I'm just literally reading the results. This is my life, man. And obviously, a lot of these fights I've watched again when I'm doing tape study for the fighters, right? So, for example, just here, for example, Chris Gutierrez against Andre Ewell. He fought like 2 weeks ago, right? And so I rewatched this fight against Andre Ewell 2 weeks ago because I was studying for his fight 2 weeks ago. So, I've probably watched his fight a few times by now. Capping Service saying, Amiv just been overrated his whole career. Still a good fighter, but not elite. 100%. Payne Fight Picks, respect to you too. Matthew is saying, Nemkov had me so scared in the first round. Yeah, keep up the great work. Yeah. It's funny because, like, if he gets knocked out of that, right, my bet on Nemkov at, like, minus 500 is, like, the worst bet of all time. But I believe that it showed that Nemkov was about 90%, in that fight. I think Anglikas had a puncher's chance, and I think that was very, very clear after the fourth round mauling and submission win. He could have stopped that fight. Multiple refs would have stopped that fight earlier, second round, third round, fourth round. So, but yeah. When he dropped him, I was like, oh my God, have I made a terrible mistake here? But I do believe that after we saw the fight play out, I do believe there was value on that line. J-Boy, what MMA organization is the best to bet on? The UFC, because you can get the most money down, right? The liquidity is the best. But probably Bellator is the easiest because you can just parlay a lot of them favorites and, like, they're going to fucking cash. We had a parlay in Bellator yesterday and they just cashed. So best is a very interesting word, right? You'd have to elaborate on exactly what you mean by best. You can get more money down on the UFC. There's more tape of the UFC. Okay. Sorry, the battery's gone out. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. Hopefully you can. The battery's actually gone out, which is quite... I'm just going to change the camera now, guys. All right. You can see me now, guys. Apologies for that. The battery went out on my camera, which is very strange because I've got it plugged in. So I thought it actually charges, but obviously not. You just have to deal with this little shitty camera for now. I hope it's not too bad. But yeah, best organization is different. Respectfully, James, do you ever watch MMA as a fan? Would this be in your job? I mean, yeah, I'm a fan, but let me tell you something that I probably don't enjoy it as much as I used to when it wasn't my job, when I wasn't betting on it. I probably don't enjoy it as much as I used to. I have to say. Saftic is killing it. Yes, Cody's the man. Got a lot of respect for Cody. If you haven't watched his, what are they called? I can't remember what they're called. He does like documentary, MMA documentaries. He's got like one or two. He's got like one or two out at the moment. Oh, Mixed Martial Madness, they're called. And they're like they're just about MMA, right? It's just about the craziness that goes on in MMA with maybe some lesser well-known fighters in 2021. You should go and watch that series. I watched one of them. Very interesting. Cody's the man. Very, very good for our community, MMA betting community. Matthew saying, I believe that your philosophy and diversification also applies when looking for cappers to tail. I'd rather tail a capper who devotes all of their brain power to one sport as opposed to multiple. Yeah, 100%. If everybody, if you tail in someone who bets on multiple sports, I would say stay away. Maybe there are people out there that can do it, but in my opinion, guys, if you want to tell someone who sticks to one sport. I'll just carry on before I get to the chat again. All right, so UFC 258. And look, this has been half an hour already, and I'm only in February, so I really do need to hurry up this one. But yeah, Poliana Viana cashed her as an underdog. She got a first-round submission, as far as I can remember. Chris Gutierrez beat the brakes off Andre Ewell, almost stopped him in that third round. And we did have Gutierrez in round 3 here. Very, very unlucky. I was shouting at my TV for that one. Them round props are very annoying, man. You get burnt on them ones. Gabriel Green, yeah, back and forth fight. Dodgy fight there. Don't really like that bet, but, he won a decision. We had a big parlay here. Again, this was a bet over 5 units. It cashed. Bilal Muhammad to win against Diego Lima. and Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns over 1.5 rounds. I actually hedged with Burns to win in round 1. People thought I was absolutely crazy. What do you mean Gilbert Burns not going to win in round 1? We saw what happened. Gilbert Burns almost won in round 1. I won't say almost won, but he dropped Kamaru heavy with that shot. Kamaru ate it well, but at the end of the day, he got dropped to one knee. So I was actually happy with that Burns in round 1 play to cover the parlay. So a great event for us there. 5 units. And at this point, we're smashing it. And then here it comes, guys. The big loss. Almost 10-unit loss on this event. Massive one. This is where everything goes wrong. My parlays lose. My money line plays for the first time in the whole year. Took us the 20th of February to lose a money line play. And we did lose it. Nasruddin Amarva versus Phil Hawes. I think that's a good bet. Honestly, I think he won that fight. I mean, he almost stopped him in the 3rd round. And in the 2nd round, he almost stopped him. And we did have Imavov to win in round 2 as well. So, I mean, it was very frustrating there. It could have gone completely differently. Whether he got that 2nd round stoppage, we would have been laughing, you know. We might have still lost, but we would have been a lot better than almost 10 units. Casey O'Neill, I got her on her debut. Obviously, solid bet there. You know, we've seen what Casey O'Neill is now. So even though she didn't look great initially in that fight, she was always going to win that fight. A lot of value at minus 160 or whatever I got her there. Bad bets here. Vieira at massive chalk. Terrible bet against Yana Kunitskaya. Now, did Vieira win that fight? Very, very close fight. Terrible bet. Curtis Blades versus Derrick Lewis. I don't hate that bet. I don't think Derrick Lewis catches Curtis Blades that many times when they fight, but minus 400, it's not the best bet of all time, I will say. And this was also annoying. I thought Blades would obviously survive, so that's why I bet the over 1.5, and it was looking good. You know, he got stopped in the 2nd round, but man, yeah, I don't know. Everything went wrong for me on this event. Dorcas wins in round 2. Olenek wins in round 2. This was a sort of a hedge because I had 3 units on the under 1.5 rounds. So that cashed. That was a good bet. That cashed all day. But yeah, Minna wins by sub in round 1. O'Neill wins by submission. Very close. You know, plus 700 on that line. But obviously she won via TKO. So yeah, terrible event. Moving on. Another event. We did a lot better, but we did lose half a unit here. And that was because I put Alexander Hernandez in a damn parlay. What the fuck am I doing there? Obviously, minus 200. And, you know, it was a close fight, but Moises won that fight. Bad bet from me. Nothing I can really say there. And Kalaev to win. Not much about that one. I don't think it was a great bet either, to be honest, even though he did win. What else have we got here? We got Alexis Davis. That was a very good underdog bet, plus 175. So the underdogs have been, cashing very well for me this year. Obviously, Andrei Arlovsky there. That wasn't a great bet. Plus 200, though, against Aspinall. Ronnie Lawrence there, dominated his opponent, got a finish there. So very happy about that one. Moving on. I'm trying to be a little bit quicker now, obviously, the time, Then we kick off March with a solid event, plus 6 unit win. So, at this point, we're up like 25 units of the year. So it's a very solid year for us. And this was a fucking parlay card, as you can tell. But only 2 parlays landed. So, I mean, hella parlays in this card. I don't think I've ever put 4 parlays on like one event before. But, I have before, but not many times. We had Makachev to win, easy win there. Nunes inside the distance, easy win there. Cruz, Casey, Kenny over 1.5. Easy win, easy parlay. I don't usually do 3-leggers unless I'm super confident. And this 3-legger here, this was just a stupid 3-legger. I put half a unit shot on it. I think because I live in New Zealand, I kind of got like a little bit carried away here because look, I had all the city kickboxing boys. Carlos Ulberg, Kai Kara France, Adesanya. I don't know. I probably let my New Zealand get the best of me there. If I'm being completely honest, it's not a good look, but I'm being transparent, But obviously, I did think that was going to happen, But looking back at it now, 9 months later, it kind of looks like I just got a little bit happy on the New Zealand vibe there. But I swung for the fences. It was plus 800 odds. I went for a crazy one there. I basically never do this, but I thought they all had a good chance of winning. And to be honest, Kai Kara France, look, he knocked him out, right? So he did win. It was just the wrong way. Ulberg wins inside the distance. Very close. He almost won inside the distance. You know, Kennedy's just one of the toughest fighters in the UFC, really is. Adesanya to win. Close fight. Obviously, you know, Blachowicz pulled away. I did have Blachowicz to win via TKO KO. You know, I had that as a hedge. But then I also bet on Adesanya to win via decision. So I thought Adesanya would win a decision, but I also wanted to hedge with the Blachowicz via TKO. None happened, so very frustrating there. But at the end of the day, we still won on this card because we went heavy on that parlay there. We had Kaikara France to win there, and we had over 2.5 rounds in a Kenny and Cruz fight. And then we also had Amanda Lemos, my girl Amanda Lemos, 3.4 units, biggest money line bet of the year, other than Ricky Simone max bet. I cannot believe they gave us Amanda Lemos at like minus 135 against Lavina Souza. That is crazy. We are never going to get Amanda Lemos at that spot again. You know me, Amanda Lemos, my favorite fighter in the UFC, bar none. Max Holloway is a close second, but you know, Lemos by far my favorite. And back in March, people did not know about Lemos. Let me tell you about that now. You go back and you see people in March, people did not know about Amanda Lemos, but she is a fucking boss. That girl, obviously, she's well known now. You know, I don't stop talking about her on Twitter, so a lot of people know her from that, but she's well known. She's done big things in the UFC since then. Another first round stoppage recently, but we cashed on her here. Massive bet, 3.5 units. We also cashed on her to win in round one, plus 750. Amanda Lemos to win in round one, plus 750. That is crazy. That's so crazy. We put half a unit on. We won almost 4 units in profit. We bet on Amanda Lemos to win in round one in our last fight. That was like plus 150 or what was it? It was like plus 300 or something crazy like that. Like, you know, not a very big price, right? This was plus 750. Obviously, they just did not know at that point. We also cashed a massive bet, Makachev to win in round 3 here. So it was all over the place in this card. And as I always say, bringing it back to the philosophy and stuff, you should be able to bet in every way. You know, if you go back to the card before, or I don't know, if we go back to the card before, right? A couple of money line plays, mainly prop bets and 1 parlay, right? But then the card after, I've got 4 parlays, about 10 props, and 2 money line plays, you know. And one of the money line plays is our one of our biggest plays on the card. So you can see the diversity of the way I bet. It's very diverse, you know. Every card I bet completely differently. So you need to be able to do that to win money long term. But yeah, very good event for us here. Plus 6 units. And obviously it could have been bigger. Another event here, another event where, you know, I'm all over the place. I'm betting money lines, lots of props, lots of parlays. Plus 195 units here. Anything of note? Not too much. Jason Witt. I don't think that was a bad bet against Semmelsberger. I know Semmelsberger hits hard, but honestly, I think if that plays out a few times, I think Witt can probably take him down quite a few times. But at the end of the day, it was a very binary fight. Semmelsberger's going to knock him out or Witt's going to take him down. So we lost on that one. Serkinov span under 1.5 rounds. Yeah, easy bet for us there. Hill wins by decision. 3 unit bet. And that one, that was a close one because I remember Angela Hill almost stopped Yoda, you know, like standing TKO. And I remember Z's MMA had the plus 700 TKO prop. So, you know, that was good. It was going back and forth with that one. But Angela Hill just, you know, even if she had Ashley Yoda on skates, the stoppage was right there for her and she still couldn't get the stoppage. So what does that tell you about Angela Hill? But yeah, that was definitely a sweaty one because I was like, oh my God, she might actually get the stoppage here. So shout out to Z. That was a good bet, I reckon, at plus 700. All right, the next card. This was an amazing card for us. One of the biggest cards of the year, plus 12 units. We had Bruno Silva as an underdog, plus 170 underdog against JP Buys. Are you fucking crazy? That is a nuts price. That's one of the best bets of the year, in my opinion. Bruno Silva completely dominated him from pillar to post. JP Buys had nothing for him. We also had Silva to win in round 3 at plus 2,000. He knocked him out late into round 2. If he lasted like a minute or 2 more, we would have fucking cashed massively on that bet. Plus 2,000. Probably would have been the biggest prop bet I'd cashed all year. But anyway, what else to note here? Look, we didn't win massive in any spot, really. We just won loads of different spots, right? So sometimes, again, diversity, guys. Diversity, diversity, diversity. Sometimes on a card, you'll see that I'll bet 11 units on one bet, and then I'll bet a couple of units on another bet. But some cards you'll see like this. I bet 2 units on 15 bets, you know? So it really depends on the card, what the card gives me in terms of value. On this card, I bet on loads of bets because I didn't see any one massive solid spot. Jackson to win. I think we had him in a parlay, but something was cancelled. Yeah, look, what Jackson inside the distance, easy bet there for us. Fight doesn't go to decision. Leonardo dos Santos, we won that fight by 1 second, so that was very lucky there. Dawson to win in round 3. We won that fight by 1 second. Massive, massive cash for us there. Look at this, 1,400% ROI on that bet. That's absolutely insane. Jackson wins in round 1. Easy bet there for me. Yanez Gustavo Lopez over 1.5. Yeah, it cruised over, finished in round 3. So, yeah. And another event, Bellator. We've done well in that event. Again, 2.2 units profit. Not too much. What am I going to say? Couple of massive underdogs here. They didn't do very well. Plus 290, plus 215. Yeah, not too much to say about this one. Parlays hit pretty easily. Yeah. Another big event for us. You know, we just won. So this was a solid run because we won 12. So March in general. Oh, it wasn't even end of March. 12 units, then lost, you know, broke even there. Oh, and this was another bet. We had Shane Young, 8.5 units. So this is one of my big bets, right? I hadn't done a big bet in a while, but, you know, this cashed with ease, really. 130-27 against Shane Young in a weird fight, but easy win. We broke even there, though. It was very annoying because we won that bet, but we lost all our other bets. Miocic wins via decision and Ngannou in round 1. Obviously, he won in round 2, so that was quite frustrating. Fight doesn't go to decision. It had its chances, but annoying bet. And I did think Morales might stop him. Obviously not. Bellator, yeah, cash there. I've spoken about that. 2 units profit there and another 5 units profit in the UFC after. So we had a lot of units on Joe Selecki against Jim Miller here. Solid bet, I think. Yeah, we had like 7.5 units on him. Just 1 sec, guys. Sorry, guys. I had to blow my nose. All right, so yeah, we had 7.5 units on Joe Selecki. Quite a lot on him there. More than that, actually, because we also had Selecki in a parlay to beat Vettori. I was just really confident Jim Miller was going to gas after round 1. And that's what happened at the end of the day. Jim Miller won the first round because he got top control, but he gassed. And Joe Selecki won an easy 29-28. Obviously, it's not good to see. You know, it's not always good to see a fighter winning round 1. But at the end of the day, the read was that Jim just wouldn't be able to keep up with the younger guy. And that's exactly what happened. You know, obviously, I don't like him to lose the first round. If I'm betting that much on him, you never want to win 29-28. You want to win via stoppage if you're betting a lot of money on him. But I still think that's a solid bet at the price. Honestly, I think he should be a wider favorite than we got him at. We also had him in a parlay. So we had a lot of money on Joe Selecki here, almost 10 units altogether. Just a bit more than 10 units, actually. Almost 11 units. So, yeah, we have Mekdesi to win via decision. Plus 320 was a crazy price. That was a good fight against Bahamondes, back and forth, but we cashed that one. Couple of other bets. Allen wins via decision. That's a very solid bet. One of the best bets I've had this year, I reckon. Well, not really, because Allen almost stopped him a couple of times, so I won't say that. But I just felt like I went against the grain there. A lot of people were picking Sadiq Youssef. I trust in the Englishman, Allen, and you know he cleanly won that fight, and he almost knocked Sadiq out, I think, more than once. So good bet there. Maybe I should have stuck to his money line, but that plus 260 there, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I really like that price. A bit of a shit one here, Bellator. I had to take the shot on Phil Davis at plus 205. I really believe I had to take the shot just because of what we saw in their first fight. But Phil Davis, you know, just wasted that. And that Yagshimuradov plus 145 against Corey Anderson, that was definitely a bad bet. Clearly a bad bet. The next card, Bud versus Gravely. So this was sorry, not Bud versus Gravely, Bud and Gravely. I'm getting a bit tired now. This was lucky because Julia Budd won this fight, but I don't think she should deserve to win this fight. So this kept my 28-0 record intact. Look, it was a very close fight, back and forth. Could have gone either way, but I scored it for Diana Silva. So I consider myself extremely lucky to get that bet, especially at the price, right? If she was like minus 500, minus 600, we got her at. So not proud of that bet at all. But at the end of the day, it cashed, so I'll take it. Kept my winning streak intact. I am so surprised at that Julia Budd performance, though. Honestly, I don't know. Something was wrong with her because Diana Silva's not a good fighter. I bet against Diana Silva in the next fight. She got knocked out in round 3 by, I think it was McFarlane or someone. It wasn't as good as Julia Budd anyway. That was one of the strangest performances I've seen. But anyway, we cashed that. Gravely to win inside the distance as well. Obviously, got that second round stoppage, I believe it was. Arlovsky to win via decision and Arlovsky to win. We doubled up on him there, 2 units in total. Arlovsky via decision. It's always a good bet, you know. It's always a good bet, as we know from yesterday, and I cashed on it again yesterday. This card, another solid card for us. So you can see, you know, we're just racking up steady wins, you know. Nothing crazy. Every now and then we have a crazy plus 10 unit event, but mainly it's just like plus 4 units, plus 2 unit, plus 2 unit, plus 3 unit, you know, and these things add up. We do have massive events which boost us up a lot more, but it's just steady, consistent bankroll growth, you know, and you can tell that by April. I don't know how much we're up now, but we're probably up 50 units or something by now, you know, and it's just consistently steady and steady. Rodrigo Vargas to win via decision. Good bet there. I mean, look, plus 450, you know, to win that bet. Plus 450, man. And we also had his money line at plus 200. So that was a very solid bet. Probably one of the bets of the year for me anyway. We also had Alan inside the distance. Solid bet there. Didn't want to play his money line at Pick'em. Much rather play, or whatever it was, much rather play his inside the distance because, you know, Carl Robertson, he gets finished, he gets submitted. And what does Alan do? He finishes and he submits. So easy bet for me there. Chris Weidman, very annoyed at that one. I did think Chris Weidman could win that fight. I still think he could have won that fight. Obviously, he snapped his leg. Terrible bone break. Not much I can say about that one. Carnelossi Vanar Liang, that was one of the easiest bets I've ever made. I knew it wasn't going to go the distance. 4 unit bet on him there. Valentina Shevchenko, 8 unit bet against Jessica Andrade at minus 400. I thought that was value. I thought Jessica Andrade had like a puncher's chance. And I mean, we saw it. Valentina Shevchenko completely dominated Jessica Andrade from pillar to post. Man, she wiped the floor with her. She really did. You know, a lot of people were backing Jessica Andrade there. And I see why, you know, plus 300. She can bring the fight. But at the end of the day, guys, Valentina is just on another level. You know, there was just a level difference, man. It's like when Adesanya fights Marvin Vettori. You're going to want to bet Marvin Vettori. I did bet Vettori via decision, you know, because the odds were just too good to pass up. But at the end of the day, there's just a level difference, you know. It's like when John Jones fights someone or like Cyril Gahn fighting someone. It's just like there's just a level difference, man. And it doesn't matter how they look on tape. They're not going to overcome that level difference. And Valentina Shevchenko dominated her and stopped her in the second round. You know, one of Valentina's best performances in the UFC. And one of her easiest performances because she took no punishment in that fight. Like she usually doesn't, to be honest. Next card, look Bunmi to win. I'll just kind of skip these. Dvalishvili wins via decision. Easy bet there. Dvalishvili via decision is always a good bet unless he's fighting Marlon Moraes. Then you want to bet him via round 2 like I did, and I cashed a lot of money there. Under 2.5 rounds in a Dominic Reyes-Jiri fight, that's a good bet. You know, Jiri brings the fight. Under 2.5 rounds in any Jiri fight is solid. Cub Swanson, underdog bet against Giga Chikadze. Oh, it wasn't even an underdog. God damn. Bet him against Giga Chikadze. Yeah, I don't know. I still like to see how that fight plays out. You know, if he doesn't get stopped in 30 seconds by a body kick. But I have to be honest, it does seem that Giga's, you know, leveled up a bit. But we've never seen him face a grappler until, you know, the last grappler we've seen him face is Jamal Emmers, and that was a split decision, you know. So, I mean, I don't know. The jury's still out on Giga Chikadze, like, in terms of his grappling, and I thought that's what Cub would bring. But obviously, we have to respect his striking, one of the best strikers in the UFC. And, it's definitely not a good bet from me, but I would like to see it play out. TJ Brown versus Kai Kamaka, back and forth fight. Could have gone either way. I did think Kai potentially won that, but I do believe that TJ Brown at plus 140 was probably a good bet. I don't think Kai Kamaka at minus 150 was necessarily a good bet. You know, in terms of percentage of outcomes, I think that the line was probably accurate. So probably no bet was good there, because I do think that, yeah, Kai Kamaka probably should be about a 55 to 60% favorite after seeing that. But, you know, we got TJ Brown at plus 140, which is like, what's that, like 42% indication or something. I think he's, you know, about 45% wins that fight, 40 to 45. So I think that bet was a square bet, which just means like, well, maybe not square. I don't know. It depends on your definition of square, right? But square sounds really bad. But I think it was just a bet where the line was accurate, you know. So you never want to bet on a fight that the line was accurate, because long term you're not going to win. By the end of the day, we cashed that one. So happy to cash that. God, I am running out of saliva talking so much. I'll just catch up with the chat quickly. Matthew is saying, we've already spoke about that. Lee Dosis, do I listen to fight commentary during tape, or do you listen to music podcasts? No, I listen to the commentary. In fact, I always recommend listening to commentary. It's funny because people say that you shouldn't listen to commentary because it makes you biased. But at the end of the day, if you know what you're looking at, if you know how to break down fights, then you won't be biased. You know, obviously it can creep into your mind if DC is constantly saying, look at the jab, you know, like it will get into your mind. But we're humans, we can adapt, and you need to adapt to be able to block out the commentary. But they do say a lot of things in the commentary that I actually like to hear, and it actually helps my process. So they will often talk about where they're training, you know, if they've recently moved, if they're coming back from a certain injury, which I don't know, like all the time, guys. You know, like I don't, like for example, here we got Sergio Pettis versus Juan Archuleta, right? So if I'm watching the commentary of Sergio Pettis' fight before Juan Archuleta, they're going to tell me a lot of the stuff that I don't know about Sergio Pettis, right? About if he's moved training camps, you know, what he's been saying in the media, if he's had any recent injuries, just loads of things like that, right? The only way I'll be able to find that is if I go and search about it. If I type Sergio Pettis in on Google, which I do sometimes for some fights, and read articles and shit. I haven't got time to read articles on every fighter I want to potentially bet on. So listening to the commentary actually helps me a lot with information about them fighters. So I always say you should listen to the commentary, but you just have to do a good job in terms of not allowing it to you know, disrupt your thoughts and change your opinion on certain fighters, right? Because it definitely can do that. But if you've been doing it long enough, you can kind of blank it out and just take what you need to, right? Another thing I'll say is if you're watching fighters that haven't fought in the UFC yet, so fighters that have fought on the regional scene, definitely listen to the commentary, because there's no articles that you're going to be able to find on these unknown fighters, really. There's not much out there, right? So if you're watching a regional scene fighter, right, and the commentators in the regional scene are saying, this fighter has just been awarded a black belt at this gym, there's no way you're going to find that out. The only reason the commentator knows it is because the commentator lives in the city that the fighter is fighting at. It's a regional show. They know the promoters. They know the fighters most of the time. They could be fighters themselves, the commentators. You know, they know the gyms and stuff. So they know inside information that you're not going to find out on Google. So it's always good to know. At the end of the day, my philosophy is the more information you have, the better. Again, the world in general is not black and white. There's a lot of gray areas, right? People are just black and white these days, but there's a lot of gray areas in the world in general. And there's no difference in sports betting. There's no difference in MMA betting, right? So yes, more information is better, but you can get overwhelmed with information. So it's just up to you to, you know, dissect the information you have and choose what you need as opposed to what could be considered fluff. What else? Pain Fight picks the same. What are your early plays this week? I straight bet Marcus. She shouldn't be an underdog. She fights Souza. I don't have any plays. I haven't even really looked into the card, to be honest. Weber's saying we can hear you. I appreciate that. Mixed Martial Madness was Cody's show. His Travis Fulton video was a masterpiece. That's the one I watched, Travis Fulton. Very good. And as I say, Cody's very good for this community. So anybody, go and subscribe to Cody Saftich's channel. and watch his Mixed Martial Madnesses videos. They're really good. Yeah. Nuri is saying, I followed other cappers before, James. One thing I messed up on was looking at the current year results versus yearly. Because a lot of people have good years, but it doesn't mean they have consistent good ones. Yeah, hot streaks are important in sports, are a known thing in sports betting, right? People go on hot streaks. People go on hot streaks for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months sometimes, right? Doesn't mean that they're good at capping. In other sports, it's even worse, right? Because you can have a good season and then they promote it like they've had a great 2021, but really they've only had a good season, which only lasts 4 or 5 months or something, you know, whereas MMA is equivalent to like 2 or 3 seasons of other sports. You know, some sports go on for like 6 months, whereas MMA is all year. So if I have a good year in MMA, I've basically had a good 2 years in so many other sports, right? So it's also important to look at. Super Look, how long ago did this start? An hour ago. How much is a unit size for you, mate? So I said earlier on the stream, maybe you wasn't here, that it's $200, but I have multiple bankrolls. So I don't have specific unit sizes like I used to when I started for the first 5 years in sports betting, when I started taking it seriously around that time. I got it up to $200, but now I have separate bankrolls for different type of bets. So for my big bets, I have a completely separate bankroll where I could put $30,000 on one bet. That would be, was 200 to 30,000. That would be like, that would be over 100 units, right? If my unit size is $200. But it's not. It's because I have a separate bankroll for the big bet. So my just generic bet, it's $200 because that's just why I've kept it as. But I actually bet differently now than I did before when I was sticking to the unit size. But nobody should do that. I only do it because multiple accounts have been shut down. Hard for me to get my bets on in general. I want to take advantage of bookies when I have access to them. So I want to get a lot of money down in the shortest time possible, because you get banned after a while when you start making big bets like I do. And also because I've proven to have such an edge on the big bets, I want to separate that and put as much money down on them bets as possible and just tick over with my other bankroll. That's the way I've played it, and it's actually doing very well for me. But you shouldn't do that unless you have a massive bankroll, and you only get that by grinding up over years and years. John Ratchmore was saying, is Gaethje a lock against Chandler? No, but I think he wins. How can you tell who's faking a real capper on Bet MMA? Well, you need to see that they're not betting 50 units every event or 40 units every event. You see this event here, right? I bet 6 units, okay? Let's go up to this event here, 22 units. This event, 28 units. This event, 1 unit. This event, 22 units. This event, 15 units. This event, 3 units. This event, 16 units. 16 units. 5 units. 6 units. 11 units. 18 units. So you see it's averaging around 15, 25. And actually, if you go up to the top, you can see the average, right? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's actually not on here. Well, if I click View Handicapper Stats, this is one way to do it. You click View Handicapper Stats, and you see the average that they bet per event, right? Where is it? Where is it? I don't even know where it is now, guys. Oh, yeah, here it is. Look, average stake per event. So the average I put on any event is 12 units, right? If you come on here and you see the average staked is like 35 units, 30 units or above, you know that they're not to be trusted, because they're putting half their bankroll on every single event, right? Which, if you have 2 bad events, you've lost all your money, right? So that's one way of finding it. Look, the most I've ever staked on one event is 41 units, right? Which is a hell of a lot. And that's the most I've ever done. Obviously, I thought there was lots of value on that card, and that's the reason I've done it. But if this most staked on one event over 2 years, if that was my average, then I'm a faker, and you shouldn't follow me. There's other ways as well. You don't want to see someone betting 11 units every bet. You want to see someone betting, less than that. But, I guess in a nutshell, that's one way. What else we got here? Early predictions, Vera versus Frankie. I don't know, man. I'm not sure, I'd have to look into that. I'm new to the channel, but you seem really good. What do you charge monthly for your picks? $96 US. But I have different packages. You can get a lot cheaper than that if you buy like a different package. Just go to lucrativemabetting.com. Go to the link in my bio, and you can just click on my webpage, and all the information's on there. Do you think Paulo Costa will be able to get up off the ground? See, I'm not the type of guy to like break down fights when I haven't done the tape. I'm sorry about that. I don't know, man. I just don't know. I'll have to watch tape. I watch so many fights that it's hard for me to have a read on fights if I haven't watched it. Yeah, I don't know, man. Are you taking questions on upcoming bigger fights? You can ask me the questions, but like John just realized, I might not answer, Top 2 guys on Bet MMA look like stat padders. What's your take? I don't know. I don't want to talk about specific people, but I'll answer your questions and you can do your own research. I think a bigger to know before following someone is how they do and release their bets. Some cappers make their bets from bets before they are widely available. Yeah, that's one of the worst things that people can do, and I don't do that. I tip the average odds available or from Bet365, which is usually the average odds available. It's never the best. It's never the worst. A lot of people do that. That's one of the worst things. Yeah, that's so common, extremely common. People tip bets that are only available on like one bookie as well. People do that a lot. It's disgusting, really. Do you tip openers? No way, mate. I would never tip an opener in my life. You can check all of my go check all my bets. Never tipped an opener in my life. Never will tip an opener in my life. Yeah. Most books don't release props and lower cut until a day or two. Yeah. Do you think you can become number 1 on Bet MMA event even with the cheaters? No, probably not. Probably not, because there's always going to be new ones, right? Like coming up with like 11 unit bets every event and that. Anyway, let's get back to where we was. I don't exactly know where we was, but God, we better hurry up, guys. We wasn't even here, was we? God damn. Oh, I'm back in 2020 now. What am I doing? I've been on this live stream too long, guys. All right, we're past it. All right, we're not too bad. We're getting through it. Okay, we was here. Sergio Pettis versus Juan Archuleta. Solid bet there for me. Sergio Pettis plus 165 underdog, and he dominated Juan Archuleta over 5 rounds. Easily won that fight. I mean, what was it, 49-46? Just stopped the takedowns and just pieced him up on the feet, man. And that's exactly what I thought would happen, and that's exactly what happened. Solid event for us, but we obviously lost that parlay there. I thought Corrales would win as a massive underdog. Terrible bet. And Weber Almeida, terrible bet. I shouldn't be betting someone who has that has that amount of experience, which is not a lot. But we managed to salvage it with our other bets cashing. What else do we have here? We also profited this one because we had the 11-unit bet. Marcos Rogerio de Lima versus Maurice Green. People were calling me absolutely crazy. How are you betting a max bet on De Lima? Well, you go back and watch that fight and you see why I bet a max bet on De Lima. Complete domination, took him down at will, stayed on top of him, 30-27, 30-26, potentially 10-8. Easy bet for us. Unbelievable amount of value on that bet there. I got him at like minus 170. That was a max bet for us. We don't have too many max bets. We have a lot of big bets, but max bets are special. And yeah, minus 170. What should he have been? 80%? At least 80%. Green had nothing for him. Yeah, so, I mean, he should have been minus 400. We got him at minus 170. That's why I bet 11 units on it, because the edge was so massive. When there's a big edge, you want to bet a lot on it, guys. Carlston Harris, 3 units against Kristen Aguilera. Yeah, that was good. So, we managed to sweep profit on this event because our other bets did lose. I had Donald Cerrone. I was confident Donald Cerrone would beat Alex Morono, but I mean, I guess he's kind of washed now because I really did think he'd beat Alex Morono there, man. But obviously it wasn't to be. He got stopped in that first round. Yeah. Jeff Neal versus Neil Magney. This was a bad bet of mine. One of the worst bets of the year. It was at minus 190, minus 185, and 2 units on him. I don't like that bet at all. Carl Dawkins versus Phil Hawes. I don't hate that bet again. I need to stop betting against Phil fucking Hawes because he obviously keeps beating me. But Carl Dawkins had him out on his feet in that second round. But I was surprised that Carl Dawkins would be the one completely gassing. I was very surprised at that. What are we going to get? Now we had first loss in a while here, minus 189 units or 1.89 units. So not bad. We had another big bet on this card. Look, again, Beneil Dariush. You see these big bets, these max bets of mine, man, they do not miss. I've never missed one, and there's a reason for that. We actually had 2 on this card. We had Usman to beat Masvidal, but that was in a parlay with something that got cancelled. I can't remember. But we had 6.1 units on him and 7.5 units. So we had 2 big bets on this card, and obviously they're both cashed with absolute ease. I mean, Usman, turned Masvidal into a meme, and obviously Beneil Dariush, just complete domination, 30-27 to Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson had absolutely nothing for him. So I was very happy to get minus 160 on Beneil Dariush in that spot where, again, looked like he was about 75% in that spot. So minus 233, minus 300 in that spot. He really did look like that. What else? Yeah, I'll move on from that card. This was the biggest underdog bet I cashed in the whole year. So as you can see now, I just thought, fuck it. I don't really like anything on this Bellator card. Let me just go hard on these underdogs. So plus 200 underdog, plus 425 underdog, and plus 360 underdog. So I just sprinkled 3 underdogs, and we came out with profit, We cashed on Hannah Guy versus Valerie Laruda, plus 425. It's the biggest underdog I bet this year, money line underdog. Very happy with that one. Yeah. What else we got? Then this was an amazing card. I think this was the biggest card of the fucking year. We laid out 22 units and it returned 19 units. Absolutely amazing. We had Norma Dumont, who fought yesterday as a plus 175 underdog. She clearly won that fight against Felicia Spencer. Dropped the 3rd round because she got tired, but, a clear 29-28. So I was very happy to get a plus 175 underdog there. We also had Damir Ismagulov and Bruno Silva. Ismagulov had to come through something heavy in that first round, and I said it on my breakdown on my members area of my website. Every week, I do like a 45-minute video where I break down our bets, and I always also talk about my philosophy inside sports betting. Basically what I'm doing now from time to time in this live stream, I do that on my members area of my website. So if you sign up, you get access to that. Every single week, I go into exactly how I make money on MMA, what I suggest to do to make money on MMA, and obviously I break down the fights. And I said that Ismagulov's going to have to come through something big early. I just didn't think it would be that big. I just thought it would be like, I thought it'd get clipped and, let it survive, but he actually got dropped to one knee. It was kind of like a flash knockdown. He recovered instantly, but I was a little bit scared there for a minute. But that's MMA, man. But again, another bet over 5 units, and it cashed. Bruno Silva completely dominated his opponent. We had 2.5 units on him to win inside the distance as well. We had Rothwell to win inside the distance. I mean, the only things that didn't hit were kind of like long shot plays, right? Look, plus 1,100 didn't hit, plus 1,400 didn't hit, plus 600 didn't hit, and then the plus 145 didn't hit. But everything else hit, and we destroyed that card. We had a 5-unit parlay. I was super confident in Silva, super confident in Kulabau, and super confident in Rothwell. And they all run through their opponent, to be honest. Kulabau was the only one that was not close, but is the only one who didn't completely run through his opponent. But he clearly won a 30-27 there. So, I mean, extremely happy with this event. Best event of the year. We did everything, right? We hit on prop bets, underdog money, plus money prop bets, as you can see here. We hit on parlays, as you can see here and here. And we hit on underdogs, So we literally did everything in that event. And that's why I always talk about diversity. So that was solid. That was 22nd of May, and my birthday's the 30th of May. So that was the event before my birthday. So I'm sure I had a good birthday there. Probably treated myself with some of the units I made. And I think this was around the time where I started to put a lot of money on these bets that were over 5 units, I believe. I don't know exactly when it was, but it was around this time. It was around 4 months ago. So there is Magulov Silva. There's 9 units there. But I think at this time I had already separated a bankroll and I put a lot of money on there, which it's probably 9 units in that bankroll, but it would be a lot more than 9 units in my, general bankroll. So this is the time where I really started to make a lot of money this year. Gregory Rodriguez, Dusko Todorovic, solid there. Like I went heavy on that underdog, 2.5 unit bet on a plus 140 line, plus 137. And he dominated Dusko, really, didn't he? I mean, he clearly won a 30-27 decision. I mean, he was just better in every realm. He was better in the defensive grappling. He was better in the boxing, way better in the boxing, better with the leg kicks. I mean, very good performance by Gregory Rodriguez. We also bet on another underdog here. So, I mean, this year we've been betting on fucking so many underdogs. And to be honest, they've been cashing. Like, look, even the event before, Norma Dumont, plus 175. And then another 2 underdogs here. Yusuf Zalal lost. That was a close fight, though. He just couldn't get the takedowns. And then what else? So this was another solid event. So we won 19 units, and we followed up with like a 4-unit event. So I mean, in the space of 2 events, we won 23 units. I mean, it's fucking huge. Some people don't win 23 units the whole year. A lot of people lose the whole year, right? They go negative units. It's super common. So to win 23 units in 2 events, it's like. I mean, and we even followed it here. I mean, this was just a crazy run for us. May, after that 19 unit, we went on a nuts run because we won 4 units here. The next event, we won 1.5 units. And let me tell you something. This 265 underdog, Brittany Elkin, this close to cashing against Clarissa Shields. She took her down. She dominated her on the ground. She almost finished her on the ground. She was clearly up 2 rounds to none. It could have been a 10-8 round, if I remember correctly. She got finished in the third fucking round, but we still won because we had that parlay there, which was a close parlay. Kind of lucky to cash it, but so we're on a crazy run. 19 units, 4 units, 1 unit, and then an 8-unit win. So I mean that's crazy, and this was another big event for us. Look, again, we went kind of heavy on Brandon Moreno as a plus 200 underdog. Not many people bet on Brandon Moreno in that spot. Obviously Figgy had all the hype going into that fight, but I just saw it as a close fight, man. You watch that first fight, it's a close fight, It was a back and forth fight. Brandon Moreno could obviously take Figgy's punches, which we wasn't expecting him to be able to do in the first fight. And 1.5 unit bet, we doubled our money. We tripled our money really, like altogether, but yeah, we doubled our money in terms of profit, 3 unit profit. We also had another underdog in Steven Peterson cash. I played him at plus 100 for a unit. And then, his price dropped. He went down to like Actually, he was minus 140, minus 130-ish when I played him. And then he went back up to underdog. And I was like, what is going on? Why is he an underdog? Like, I have to put more money on it. And I remember that exactly because this was the same time where I doubled up on my Evloev via decision bet. So I doubled up on Steven Peterson because of the odds change, and I doubled up on Evloev via decision because of the odds change. Because one of the most important things you have to be able to do is like, if the odds change, you have to take advantage of it. Sometimes like I'll make a bet on a fighter, and then their odds will get even better, and I won't want to make that bet again because I've already got bets on them. But at the end of the day, a lot of the times, if their odds have improved, you kind of should be putting more on because if you think their value on the odds that you bet them, if they go to more value in your eyes, you should probably be putting more on. Now, it is like there is some gray area. I don't do it all the time, but this time I've done it on 2 bets. So Steven Peterson minus 130, I was like, Steven Peterson should be at least 65% here, right? So I was like, yeah, let me put 1.4 units on. And then I woke up a couple of days later or the next day or whenever it was, and I saw that Steven Peterson was a plus 100 underdog. So I was like, what the fuck? He's gone to underdog now. I got to put more on, this is principle. Like he was valued at minus 140. Now he's got plus number next to his name. I'm going to put more on. So I did that. And the exact same thing happened with Evloev via decision. Again, Evloev, very special fighter, guys. I told you this at the start of the live stream and he's made me a lot of money. So maybe I'm a little bit biased, but the guy's special. Evloev via decision, minus 110, 1.1 units on him, right? Then I woke up a couple of days later and it went from minus 110 to plus 100. So I'm like, I know it's not a massive jump, right? It's like 3% jump in terms of implied probability. But at the end of the day, I thought there was decent amount of value on the -110 line. I think way more than 50%, way more than 47% of the time, this fight is won by Evloev via decision. And then I woke up the day later or something and it was plus money. I'm like, I just got to put more money on it now. So then I put another unit on it. And again, they both cashed. So because I doubled down on them bets and I trusted my instincts and I went against the market, even though the market went against me, I went against the market and said, no, I believe you're wrong, market. I'm going to actually double down on my bets. That paid off in this circumstance because I was able to cash an extra 2 units. One on Steven Peterson plus 100, one on Evloev decision plus 100. What else we got here? A Jamal Hill inside the distance. Yeah, that was an annoying one because obviously he just got snapped. His arm got snapped off in about a minute. So I should have really played the under 1.5 there, but lessons learned. Vettori via decision. I didn't think it was going to happen. I was picking Israel Adesanya to win, but at plus 400, I had to take the shot. I don't hate myself for taking a shot. I don't think it was a good bet because I do think that Adesanya, just outclassed him. It was very easy to outclass him, but I don't, I still don't hate the bet. Where I was at the time and, what we saw from the first fight, I don't think that was a bad bet. Post-fight, I don't think it's a good bet. Pre-fight, I don't think it was a bad decision. The next card, we had Wellington Turman, bad loss there to Bruno Silva. Just lost against him yesterday as well. Very frustrating. He's like Phil Hawes. The guy just keeps beating me. These meme guys just beat me, right? But Phil Hawes is not that meme anymore. He kind of is a meme because he almost gets stopped. But Diego Lima went heavy on that one. Bad bet there. 4 units. Matt Brown. I know Diego Lima has a shaky chin. I just thought Matt Brown was completely done. I thought it was past it. Obviously, bad bet for me there. Hold my hands up. Joaquim Silva, again, that was a tough loss to take because he just got knocked out in that early in that first round. I was like, I didn't see Rick Glenn knocking him out. I have to be honest. So I have to learn something from that, something I didn't see on tape. So, it was a bad start on the money line bets. Obviously, we did have a good cash there. Sungwoo Choi, we put 2.5 units on him. So, it was our biggest money line bet along with Turman, and he cashed there. So at least this. Well, actually, no, he wasn't. No. Diego Lima was the biggest money line bet. So yeah, the sizing not very good there, but it is what it is. I had over 1.5 rounds there in the Rocky Martinez and Josh Parisian fight, and I had Martinez win via decision at plus 400, which should have cashed. Martinez, I thought, won that fight. But you know what? I got swayed by Twitter because everybody on Twitter, and I don't think that many people were on Martinez, but a lot of people on Twitter were saying Martinez should have definitely had that fight. But when I watched it, I thought it was 29-28 either way. So I don't call that a robbery at all. Obviously, I'm annoyed because I had plus 400 and an underdog on a 29-28 split decision. It could have gone either way easily. So that's annoying, but I'm not going to cry robbery like a lot of people were doing. But I don't even think those people had bets on Martinez. So it was quite strange to see. But anyway, Choi wins by TKO KO. Yeah, good bet there. Plus 340. Absolute ridiculous price. I have no idea why it was such a big price. That kind of saved us there because obviously we lost 3 units, but we could have lost a lot more if that Sungwoo Choi bet didn't cash. So yeah. And the Jandiroba via submission. That's a very frustrating one, right? Because she armbarred her, snapped her arm, but the woman didn't tap. Because of the arm snap, the fight was stopped. But the fight was ruled a TKO because it wasn't a submission, it wasn't a tap. The referee called it off because of the snap. So it's ruled a TKO in the rule set, which is so annoying because the submission caused the TKO. So really that should have cashed, but it didn't. And then Grant via decision. I didn't think he was going to win. I thought Vera was going to win, but Vera was minus 200 and Grant wasn't going to stop him. So Grant via decision plus 450. So easy bet there for me. No regrets on that one. Next one, we had a solid bet. Movlid Kabalaev against Lance Palmer. We got him at a good price, man, like minus 130, and obviously dominated that fight. So happy about that one. But very annoying because, I backed Anthony Pettis in a parlay, and Anthony Pettis is not a fighter you want to bet at this time of his career, So bad bet from me there. It was a close fight, but yeah, I'm disappointed in that one for sure. And now we bounce back though with a massive. So you can see, like when we lose, we don't lose a lot. 3 units is a big loss for us. 1 unit, 3 unit. Where else did we lose? We're on a crazy run here. If you go to 1 unit, so much green, not many losses. Green. 2 units, 5-unit win. That's not even a loss. That's a break even. So you can see when we do lose, usually we lose a little bit. And when we win, we win a little bit or a lot. Very rare we lose a lot. So, I'm very happy with the way I'm sizing bets and just my betting process in general, because when we do lose, which is impossible not to lose in sports betting, we're not losing a lot. But when we do win, it's a decent amount. Harrison Danwa over 1.5 rounds. I got plus 170 on that. Don't hate the bet. It was like 10 seconds in the first round and she finished it. So I don't hate the bet at all. Daniel Weichel. I was very happy to get Weichel as a plus 120 underdog against Keone Diggs there. Very close fight. 29-28 either way, but we got the underdog, so I was happy with that. Jalen Bates parlay here. Now, this was a bad event for us, right? Everything went wrong. The only bet we won was Prazeres Rakhmonov not go to decision. Yeah, I mean, Boza to win via decision, bad bet because he knocked him out. But it was a weird knockout because Ovin St. Preux tripped, and he was facing the cage. And then Tanner Boza just hit him from behind. Didn't that happen? Was that? No, that was in the Amari Medov fight. It was a weird one. I remember it was a weird stoppage. Something really weird happened in that fight. I can't remember what it was. So that led to the stoppage. It was proper random. He tripped and then he just got hit with a big shot or something mad like that. I don't know if any of you remember the Ovin St. Preux versus Boza fight. If you do, let me know what happened. But it wasn't just a clean knockout. It was he just got caught once and it jumped on him. Or it was something weird. But at the end of the day, heavyweights. But, I backed heavyweight to go to decision yesterday and it happened. So, I'm not going to just say, heavyweights, I bet back, go to decision. It's not a good bet because that's not the case. Every fight is different. But I was a little bit worried about that bet and I put a lot of money on it. Look, 3 units here on the fight goes to decision and Boza to win via decision, 1.4. So 5 units on that fight in total over 2 bets. So, yeah, that was quite annoying. But, yeah, bad event for us, Barcelos, bad bet against Valiev. That was a close fight. I think it's impossible that fight isn't a draw because, obviously, 10-8 round was, clear as day. Literally almost killed him, Barcelos. By the end of the day, the bet was bad. So we want to look at the bet and not the result. Because, a lot of people that have Barcelos moaning about the result, right? And I'll moan too in terms of I'll say that it's terrible decision. It wasn't a draw. But I'm separating that from my opinion about the bet, right? Because the bet was a bad bet. I made a bad bet on Raoni Barcelos. But I also can say that the decision was absolutely shocking. It's the same as, and I didn't have a bet in this fight, but Phillips versus Paiva, that also should have been a draw. It's a terrible decision, Now, Paiva was a good bet, but that doesn't take away from the fact that was a terrible decision. So bad bet for me. I learned here that I knew it was a close fight. I just thought the Barcelos would just do enough in that close fight. But there's spots like that happen, but there's also spots where if you think it's a close fight, you shouldn't be betting a fucking minus 210 favorite. You know what I mean? So bad bet from me there. But it should have been a push. But it's still a bad bet. All right, this is what we was going to get to. Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor. And look, another bounce back, big event for us, man. 4 units. And I'll just hit the chat up quickly. Sorry about that, guys. Just God. Don't worry, I've not got COVID. I'm just got a bit of phlegm and a bit of snot. Sorry about that. Where are we at? I'm going to catch up with the chat real quick. Nuri's saying a lot of cappers that are on MMA Twitter do that, but James never does, which is why one of the reasons why he's the best and easy to follow. Thank you, Nuri. I really appreciate that, bro. Chris is saying, what would you say was your worst read of the year? I don't know. No, Barcelos one. I don't know. I've mentioned a few. You know what it is? My short-term memory is terrible. I can't remember all the fights we've spoken about, but I also don't know. I also remember random things. Worst read of the year. I don't know. I've mentioned loads in this live stream. I don't know if you've been here from the start, but I've gone over loads that I've had a bad read on. Diego Lima. No, that wasn't my worst read of the year, though. I don't know. Maybe Alfie Davis. You know, he got completely dominated, kind of. But it was plus 360. I don't know if it was the worst read ever. Grundy versus Vanatta was a bad read because he was a slight favorite, right? Minus 125. But, and I think we completely moved through this one. I don't know. But yeah, that was Mike Grundy versus Lando Vanatta. That was a bad read because I thought he'd be able to get takedowns and he literally could not get takedowns. So that was definitely a bad read there. What else? What's the issue with tipping openers? Well, if you tip openers, 99% of people cannot bet on them openers, right? So with MMA betting, they put out, a certain bookmaker will put out an opener, right? And then everybody who has access to that bookmaker, which is just only one bookmaker, right? Usually it's one or two bookmakers that make the openers. Bet Online is usually the ones who make the openers. So someone will bet on that opener and then instantly the price will change because the opener is only there for you to bet on with low limits. So let's say they say, you know, the bookies are like, okay, we're only going to take $2,000 on this opener, right? And then whoever bets on the opener, we're going to change the odds according to that, right? So the openers last for a couple of hours. So if you tip an opener, it only lasts for a few hours. So whoever you're tipping to, they're not going to be able to get on it in a few hours. Not only that, it's only available on one or two bookmakers. So 99% of the people that you're tipping to are not going to have access to them bookmakers anyway, because a lot of people don't have access to Bet Online, right? But even if they do have access to it, it's only available for an hour or two. And only a certain amount of money is allowed to be put down on it. So it's one of the worst things you can do in betting is to tip openers. Why are the odds shown in this format? Can you switch to American system if you want? It seems like you talk using a plus or minus. Yeah, I know all odds, so I just work with them all. The reason I actually use this is because I can easily enter these odds on my spreadsheet. My spreadsheet doesn't work in like my personal spreadsheet, which you won't see here. This is obviously bettermade.tips. My personal spreadsheet uses decimal format because that's just an easy way to calculate how much money you won because you just times the unit you put on it by the actual number. You can't times 2 units by plus 400. Excel doesn't know what plus 400 is, but Excel does know what 4.0 is, right? It's just 4. So I hope you understand that. It's just an easy way for my Excel spreadsheet. So what I do is I input the bets in bettermade.tips and then it brings up this format and then I copy paste this format. I just see the odds here and I paste that into my Excel spreadsheet. It's just easy. Another reason is because I live in New Zealand and New Zealand use decimal. So it's just good to be, you know, it's good to be versed in all odds as well. But the spreadsheet's the main reason. Daniel Gray saying, what day do I post my picks? I post them differently. So it just depends on when I bet them. So I don't just wait till one day and post all the picks. I'll post them throughout the week, but I always make sure that the picks are widely available before I post them. So I won't post odds, prop bets super early in the week if they're not widely available. And, you know, it's funny because if I actually did do what 90% of the other cappers do and I post, you know, props as soon as they come out, tip openers, tip lines that are just not widely available, tip bets that are not even widely available. People tip bets that you can only bet on one or two bookmakers. This is ridiculous, but it's ridiculous, man. But yeah, anyway, what I was going to say was if I did do that, my results would be way better. And my results are still, I mean, you know what the results are. So, yeah. Super Look is saying, will this be posted up on your channel? No, it will be posted up on my channel. It takes a while to upload, but it will be posted up. All right, who else we got? Yeah, so the next bet we had, the next event, Daniel. Oh, no, we've spoke about that one. Oh, we spoke about that one. Oh, yeah. Now we had Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor. So I bet Conor McGregor inside the distance on their first fight or their second fight. But the trilogy, the rematch, I bet Poirier as an underdog, plus 100 underdog, probably one of the best bets of the year. Dustin Poirier as an underdog is probably one of the best bets of the year in MMA. I believe Dustin Poirier is minus 400 in that fight. He's 80%. If they fight again, he should be minus 400. Dustin Poirier does not win that fight. Dustin Poirier does not lose that fight, man. He's surpassed McGregor. He's got way more durability than McGregor. He's probably the same power level as McGregor, maybe a little bit less, but McGregor's just, his durability is just not what it used to be. Cardio, like every advantage you can imagine, really, apart from just striking, right, is in the favor of Dustin Poirier. So Dustin Poirier completely blew through McGregor there, dominated him on the ground, and obviously McGregor snapped his leg. But yeah, Poirier was always going to win that fight. Very happy with that bet there. One of the best bets I made this year, in my opinion, especially as an underdog. Irene Aldana, 2-unit bet. Yeah, she finished Yana Kunitskaya, so very happy with that one. What else do we have here? Anything notable to talk about? Pereira versus Nico Price under 2.5 rounds. I don't think that was a bad bet. It was very close to being finished there. Tavares via decision. Solid bet there. I like that one. O'Malley wins in round 1. Damn, that was close. This was another one. O'Malley wins inside the distance. I had 6.1 units on this. So again, putting my big bet record on the line. Again, this was close because O'Malley, he had him out multiple times, but Moutinho was just tough. And then I think Herb must have been on my side or something because he stopped that fight when I really was calling it a loss. I was like, this is like the first big bet I've ever lost. I'm going to go 25-1, 26-1 or whatever it was. But luckily we got that, we got the good rub of the green there and, it cashed. But, you talk about luck and you talk about bad luck. Obviously that Pereira versus Nico Price, that could have stopped a couple of times. So obviously we got unlucky there and multiple times we got unlucky. Yeah, this event here, another solid event for us, 2-unit win. Not too much to say about this one. Dominant wins by our money lines there. So our money lines have been doing really well this year. Well, except for here. And this was another massive event for us. So you see, our money lines really underperformed. We lost 4.6 units on the money line, but we ended up winning 16 units on the props and parlays. So again, diversity, guys. Like this one here, look, we won 2.5 units on the money lines, but we only broke even on the props. But here we lost on the money lines and we smashed it on the props. So really diversity is so important, as I always say. Another massive bet here, 10-unit parlay. I mean, Eblen, complete domination. Makhachev, complete domination. Lemos, complete domination. Miguel Amanda Lemos again. We had a Lemos inside the distance, plus 120, plus 120, which is absolutely crazy. We also had Lemos in round 1, plus 300, which is fairly crazy. So we cashed out on Miguel Lemos again. I absolutely love Lemos. We actually put 2.5 units on Lemos inside the distance there. I just entered it twice. And we had 10 units on. So overall, I had like 13 units on Amanda Lemos, which is, crazy amount of money, but there's a reason for that because she walked through her opponent in round 1. We also have Makhachev to win in round 4 at plus 2,000 odds. So very happy about that one. 5-unit profit off just a quarter of a unit bet. Crazy. We had Morozov as a plus 140 underdog. Very happy about that. Obviously, bad bet on Gabriel Benitez. Terrible sizing as well. I added to it, which is really bad. 4-unit loss there. Marion Renault underdog against Tate. Bad bet. Stevens against Gamrot. Bad bet, but it finished so early. But yeah, just in general, a very good event for us there. 11-unit profit, solid event. And then we come back with another massive event, 6 units. Again, another big bet. We had 7.5 units on Eubanks to win and Yanez to win. Now, I know you're going to say Yanez, that was a fucking close, like that first round, he almost got stopped, but I knew exactly how that fight would play out. I said Costa's going to start amazing. He's going to look $100. He's going to look like a big favorite. And Yanez is slowly going to break him down and finish him. It's exactly what happened. Now, I will say that I didn't think Costa would look that good. I said Costa would look good. I honestly didn't think he would look that good. He did look really good. His jab was better than I thought. He did do more damage to Yanez than I thought. but it did go exactly how I thought at the end of the day. We also had 3.3 units on Yanez inside the distance, so pretty big bet there for a prop. Fight doesn't go to decision in the Derrick Elkins fight. Just some really, really good bets. Obviously, Ian Heinisch, that was a bad bet there. 3 units. Bad, I added to him, and I lost there. But overall, solid event for us. This was a bad event. We lost every single bet. This doesn't happen very often. I think it's the first time in the whole fucking year. But at the end of the day, guys, this is sports betting, and it will happen to you eventually. Lost a bet on Adeshev there. Bad bet. On Benoit. Favorite, but man, he brung it to Adeshev, even though he got his leg completely blown off. Barberina inside the distance. Extremely close to cash in. In that third round, he almost finished him, but he didn't. The Paula, I don't hate that bet. She got knocked out in round 1. That was a crazy random head kick. But anyway, the next event, 11-unit bet on Georgi Karakanian. First round stoppage. Happy with that one. And we also played the underdog here. Minus 100. He was an underdog. Minus 105. Brian Moore, Jordan Winsky. Clear win there. 6 units. Very solid event there. We broke even on this event. Lost all our money line plays again. Really bad. But very good because we completely smashed the Cyril Gane fight. We had the Cyril Gane to win. Fight goes to decision there, 5 units. We also had Gane to win in round 3, which brought us 2 units. We also had the under 3.5, which brought us 2 units. So the Gane fight really, really brought us back to life there because the money line plays we got absolutely mollywopped on. Terrible bet on Carolina. She was completely past it. Bad bet on Casey Kenny. Bad bet on Angela Hill. Bad bet on Vicente Luque, probably, even though they were both underdogs, because, on Michael Chiesa, I went on a couple of podcasts that weekend, right? And I said Vicente Luque via submission. I'm more worried about that than I am about the TKO. And it was like plus 800. It was even more than that, I think. So I'm very upset I didn't bet on that. But anyway, yeah, just a average event, broke even. PFL, yeah, broke even again. I played plus 630 underdog in Sadibu Sai. It was a ridiculous price. I don't hate it. Alex Martinez, yeah, probably a bad bet. He was plus 180, but still a bad bet because Loic kind of just, he clearly won that fight. This was our second biggest bet, second biggest cash of the year, actually. Rafael Stotts versus Magomedov. Yeah, he clearly won that fight, and we cashed on him. We had half a unit bet on him at plus 330. Very good cash there. But we went too heavy on that Ty Guada versus Bestayev fight. Now, look, if you guys watch this fight again, this fight could have been stopped so many times. I cannot believe it went the distance. I really can't. But that made us lose that event. Very frustrating. But we bounced back with a PFL event, 2-unit win. That was solid there. And again, another underdog we cashed. We tried to cash this underdog. Close fight, but ended up losing. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Just loading this. I accidentally clicked something. All right. So where are we now? Because I think we're coming towards the end now, guys. So probably wrap it up soon. Alex Weber saying, thanks for answering all my questions. Do you ever get reads and make picks using body language? Never, bro. Never. That's how I picked Max Griffin over Condit. Interviews just seemed like he wasn't in it. This proved true after he retired afterwards. Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, more often than not, like obviously you're going to have random times where it wins or you perceive that that's the reason why it won. Maybe just Max Griffin was better in general. Maybe he would have won that fight whether Condit was interested or not, but you perceive it to be the reason why he won, maybe. But more often than not, if you listen to narratives and stuff, it will throw you off and you'll lose long term. What you want to do is focus on tape, and what you see on tape is king. Now, if you're super high level, then you can take everything in, but do not get, I would say that when you're talking about body language, that's almost almost nothing. But when you're talking about like interviews and like narrative stuff outside of the octagon stuff, right? I'd say 5% maybe you use that, 10% maybe, 90% you use what you saw on tape. Anaconda saying a Joey Chestnut of MMA betting. Who's Joey Chestnut? Is that bad that I don't know? Let me Google him. Joey Chestnut. Is it American Competitive Eater? Okay. He's currently ranked first in the world by Major League Eating. Okay, so he's pound for pound. He's 6 foot and he weighs 230. Legend. Joey Chestnut sets world record down in 75 hot dogs. I appreciate that, Anaconda. That's a good compliment, I guess. Interesting compliment, but take it as a compliment nonetheless. All right. What we saying? What we got now? All right. Fabio Aguilar. Look, another underdog, guys. Cashed is plus 205 as well. Not like a small underdog. And another underdog, Mike Camel, plus 235. Both got the Fabio Aguilar was a close fight, but obviously hella value there. Decent event for us there. Again, the parlay let us down, but look, happy about that event. What else here? Cash in another underdog, Kat Kramanov at plus 210. We did lose the underdog in Clay Guida, which was a close fight. I will say that was a close fight. And Chase Sherman against Parker Porter. Yeah, that was a terrible bet by me. That was one of my worst reads of the year, probably. Someone was asking earlier. Chris was asking, I think. Chase Sherman against Parker Porter was probably one of my worst reads. Not one of my worst reads per se, but it was one of the worst bets. Jared Cannonier, good bet there against Kelvin Gastelum. I think close, but Cannonier was, the rightful winner via decision as well. Got that plus 260. Solid bet there. Brahim Aj inside the distance and in round one. So very happy with that. Solid event there. Plus 175 units. Another event, plus 3 units, PFL. So you can tell we're winning on Bellator, winning on PFL, and winning on UFC. This was a bad event for us. Minus 5 units. What should I touch on? Brady Highstand. Don't hate that bet. Underdog bet. Edson Barbosa. Bad bet. Shouldn't be backing a kickboxer against Giga Jakazi with no grappling upside or someone who doesn't use grappling. 5 units that, yeah, bad bet, bad event for us there. Shouldn't have been bet. I don't hate the Di Chirico bet just because I do think Al Hassan was round 1 a bust, but probably should have bet Al Hassan in round 1, But Chirico had never been knocked out. Maybe he had if you count that Zach Cummins one, but I don't know. I don't hate that event, to be honest. Although we lost. Okay, Sergey Spivak against Tom Aspinall. Yeah, I should probably stop fading Tom Aspinall. It's just because, well, first of all, I faded him against Arlovsky. I think he's an amazing fighter. I think he's really good. The reason I faded him against Andrei Arlovsky, because he just never fought anyone in his career at that level, right? So I just thought, Arlovsky has the way of beating these guys. And to be honest, I thought Aspinall was looking tired at the end of round 1. He got that early second round submission. But, I don't hate the fade there at plus 200 on Aspinall's first ever step up. And then I don't hate the fade on Sergey Spivak because I thought Sergey would be able to get the takedowns. And we've seen Tom Aspinall dominated on the ground, although it was a long time ago. So I don't hate that plus 200 either. But, I do. I probably was picking him to win both fights, though. So it's not like I'm not picking him to win, right? It's just that I do think that, the line was a bit wide. But anyway, Bukauskas, that was a bad bet because he got fucked up in that fight. Barrier wins in round 3. But we had Shaw. We had another bet, right? A massive bet, a 9-unit play. And that carried us over. So Shaw to win and fight goes to decision. That was edgy of seat stuff, McCann and Kim, because, McCann just brings it. But that fight was going to go to decision a lot of times that them girls fight. 80% and above, that fight goes to decision. And Shaw dominated his opponents, so happy with that one. So another 3.5 unit win solid. We came back, Dana White Contender Series, another 1.5 unit win there. I won't go too much into that, but I will say that we cashed. Look, we had 3 money underdog plays and 2 of them cashed. We had NJQ as a plus 100 underdog and Chad Anaheliga as a plus 310 underdog. So really big underdog there, cashed. We broke even here, another Dana White's Contender Series. So we won on Dana White's Contender Series. Then we won again, but we broke even, plus 0.2 units. And then we had another solid event, plus 5 units here. Nathan Manas, another underdog, plus 175. Obviously, he got badly hurt in that first round, but he was able to rally in the second. So I'm happy with that plus 175 underdog bet. It was a very good bet, in my opinion. Tony Gravely could not get the grappling going, which the bet was predicated on Gravely not getting the wrestling going, right? And obviously, the striking, I thought Manas could hurt him, and he could. It just so happened that Tony hurt him first. But I think good, solid bet there at plus 175. That fight should have easily been a pick 'em. There's no way Manas should have been a plus 175 underdog, especially when he defended all the takedowns and stopped Gravely in the second round, Mo Miller and Arman Sarukian to win. Easy wins for both of them there. 9-unit bet again, smashed it. Another big bet that cashed. Fight doesn't go to decision, and fight goes to decision. Them 2 bets there. Easy bet for us. Then we had a little loss there, minus 138, minus 1.38. Then we had another massive event here. No big bets here, just loads of small winning bets. Robbie Lawler to win via Nick Diaz, one of the best bets of the year. Nick Diaz, so many known troubles. Just couldn't keep up with the pace of Robbie Lawler, which is interesting because Nick Diaz is usually the one putting the pace, right? What else we got here? Anything else I need to mention? Not really. Santos wins via decision, good bet. Shevchenko Murphy over 2.5 rounds, good bet. I will speak about this. We had Dvalishvili to win in round 2. That's a solid bet there. I just knew that Marlon would gas. But we also had Marlon to win in round 1, right? Which almost cashed. So, I mean, I was covered on all of that. We had Marlon to win in round 1, Dvalishvili win in round 2, and Dvalishvili win in round 3. And we had Dvalishvili in a parlay. So I was covered on a lot of bases there. And we bounced back with another 10 units. So 2 10-unit events in a row. And look at the money lines here. So look at here. We won on the money line, right? But we smashed it on props and parlays. And then here, props and parlays, we still did well, but we completely smashed it on the money line. We had Nico Price there. Close fight, to be honest. I don't really like that bet. You know, it won, but I wouldn't make that bet again. But I do think minus 140 was maybe around about right. Maybe you could make it a pick 'em, but I don't know. I think Nico Price had the grappling upside and he had the power. So maybe you would say it's probably around Nico Price minus 130, minus 140-ish. But yeah, I don't like the bet that I made there. Jared Gordon to beat Joe Solecki. I had to fade my guy Joe Solecki here, and it worked out. Looked sticky in that first round, but he came back. Great underdog bet there. I was happy to cash that. Douglas De Silva de Andrade. I had to play him against Gaetano Perello. If you remember at the start of the live stream, I played Ricky Simone against Gaetano Perello. And again here, I went heavy against Gaetano Perello. He's just not UFC level. He's not high echelon UFC level. And Ricky Simone and Douglas De Silva de Andrade, they're top 15 fighters, you know. So maybe Gaetano's like low-level UFC level, but he's not top 15 level. So when he fights top 15, finishes are going to come. So I had De Silva Andrade here. I also had Andrade in a parlay. And I had Andrade to win inside the distance. So I was so heavy on Andrade here. Inside the distance, by submission, which he could have got, money line, and in a parlay. So, yeah, completely smashed his event. 10-unit win there. We had Egger to win, which was a good bet. Egger to win via submission, which also could have happened. She ended up getting a ground and pound. We went heavy on Hernandez inside the distance, and we had Hernandez in the parlay. 2 parlays, actually. So, yeah, another good event there. We lost 1 unit on that plus 150 underdog shot. Lost in the first round. We bounced back with a unit win here. Not too much to say about this one. Then we won a quarter of a unit on Dana White's Contender Series. And yesterday, we won just under a unit on UFC Fight Night 40, UFC Vegas 40. Arlovsky via decision, cashed there. Arlovsky fight goes to decision, won us the whole night. Obviously, I had a small shot on Miller in round 1. Fight doesn't go to decision. Yeah, I don't hate that bet. I really thought Aspinland game plan would be different. She doesn't fight like that usually, so I think it was fairly hard to predict that. So I actually don't mind that bet, even though it lost. Andrew Sanchez, I don't hate the bet because he was dominating that fight. I mean, he won the first round. It was close, but he did win the first round, and then he completely dominated the second round. So, you know, he was 2 rounds up going into round 3. But I don't really like it because I do know Sanchez gasses, so I potentially should have bet on Bruno Silva to win in round 3. And it's funny because in between round 2 and round 3, I posted on my Twitter, you can go and check this. I said, what is the live odds of Bruno right now? Because I think you should bet him. I recommend betting him because Andrew Sanchez gasses in round 3 and gets stopped all the time. And he did. He gassed in round 3 badly, and so he got stopped. So I don't like my read there because I feel like I knew that he could gas in round 3. So if I know that, I should at least be hedging with the round 3 prop, which would have made us win money on the fight. But anyway, we capped it off with an amazing win on Bellator. You know, we smashed everything, really. Corey Anderson, 3-unit bet. Muhammad Berkamov, 3-unit bet. Both got first-round finishes. Henry Corrales won a clear 30-27 decision. I took a small shot on a plus 425 underdog Raymond Pinner, who completely dominated the first round. Argument for a 10-8. if there was more damage, would have been a 10-8 as a plus 425 underdog. And then he gets stopped in the second round. That's why he was a plus 425 underdog. Don't hate that bet. Make it again 10 times out of 10. Maria Henderson fight doesn't go to decision. I should have went heavier on that, but I don't tip heavy on props because, first of all, it's hard to go heavy on props in general, but it's definitely hard to go heavy on props in Bellator, and even harder to go heavy on props in Bellator on the prelims. So that's why I didn't tip heavy on there, although I thought it was like a 85% outcome or something. We also had a chalky parlay, which all three opponents got finishes. Henderson finished in the first round, Bates finished in the first round, Nemkov finished in the fourth round after a complete whitewash domination. So I believe all had value on the line. I believe all should have been about minus 900. Honestly, I would make Maria Henderson about a 95% favorite in that spot. And then Bates, probably, I would have made him about a 90% favorite. And then Nemkov, I would have also made him a 90% favorite. So, yeah, I mean, a solid one there. It was a bad bet, though, on the Randy field. The only bet we lost, other than that small 425 plus 425 half a unit shot, the only bet we lost, fight goes to decision, field versus Anaba. That was a bad bet because it was minus 110. And that pace from Anaba was so crazy that she just causes finishes because of her pace. So Randy field was tough. But, yeah, that was a bad bet. But overall, guys, I mean, that's it, man. We've gone through everything. The live stream's been going on for 1 hour, 55 minutes now. I hope you've enjoyed it. Not too much to say. You know, we've smashed it. 118 units profit this year already. There's still 2 months of the year left, more than 2 months of the year, 2.5 months. I don't know where we can get to, but I'm just going to do my best to push it as much as possible. Anybody who's been watching this whole time, I really appreciate it. Any last questions, please hit me up in the chat before I do go. If you want to join me and if you want to make money with me, like I have been doing over this whole year, as you can see, you can sign up to my betting service. You'll make money with me. It's as simple as that. You know, I don't need to go too much more into it. LucrativeMMABetting.com. And you can just check all my packages there. If there's something that you like, sign up or send me a DM. I'll be happy to answer. And yeah, let's cash together. Let's make money. I hope that this live stream, I've given you lots of advice, philosophy, and an understanding of my betting process. So you can potentially make more money, even if you don't want to sign up with me. You can make more money on your own through the information and advice I've given out on this live stream. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and good luck on all your bets. I will be back over the next few weeks with more content. I'll be putting out my podcast, end of this week, end of next week. And yeah, let's keep cashing. Let's keep beating these bookies.